to the calm and cultured collective.
Oh, welcome back, collective, to another episode of the Calm and Cultured Collective. And this episode is really personal for me. Bo is my husband of 18 years. He's a father to our 6 children and also a very present grandfather. Bo grew up without his father, so we're not speaking from theory. Like, this is his own lived experience. Also, we are not here to shame Black men or excuse the absence. What we are here to do is tell the truth about presence, responsibility, healing, and legacy. So everyone, let's go ahead and welcome Bo.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back. Wait, this is welcome to the collective.
Yeah,
You've never appeared.
Collective.
This is your first time on the Common Culture
Yes,
Collective.
first.
Oh, wow. And it's also the first time in our studio.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Nice. Well, we are so happy to have you here.
Now collected.
You are now collected. Yes, a very critical part of the collective. When you hear me refer to my production manager, this is actually who I'm referring to. Production manager and also CFO, right?
Yeah.
And number one investor.
Yes.
Besides me. So yeah, my other half. How you doing?
Doing good.
We've had a rough week.
Yeah.
We have. Had vacation last week.
Yes.
Yeah, and hit the ground running.
What we had 2 gigs. I had 2 gigs.
Yeah, when we got back, we've been busy.
2 gigs. I got 2 gigs next week.
Busy man. So Bo, in addition, just tell you a little bit about, would you like to tell us about? So Bo, he's my husband. We've been married for 18 years. And in addition to he's employed full time. Mm-hmm. He's also retired from the military. He did almost 22 years in the United States Army. He's working on his second retirement.
Yes.
He's in the ministry. He's a minister at our church, the
Greater St. Matthew's Baptist Church,
where our pastor is
the William L. Randall Jr.
Reverend Dr.
William L. Randall
Jr. Right. And also, in addition to that, my husband does have a bachelor's degree in religious studies, a master's degree in
business management,
and he's working on a second master's degree
in theological
studies at the
Dallas Theological Seminary.
So we are not new to this. Well, he's not new to this. He's true to this. So, and also, too, just to give you a little bit of a background, my husband is a man who is a very present father who also grew up without the presence of his biological father. Mm-hmm. So he has a very unique vantage point that I think that we will enjoy exploring today. You ready to get into it?
Sure, let's go.
Okay, all right. So I think that while to some Black fatherhood is a story of absence, that's not what it's limited to, right? It's also a story of interruption, survival, adaptation, chosen presence, and then also generational repair. Babe, what does reclaiming fatherhood mean to you?
Well, I think I wouldn't say necessarily say reclaiming it. I would say just literally stepping into your responsibilities, like really walking into your responsibilities because you chose to be a father. Mm-hmm. So you'll have to go back and step into your responsibilities as a parent, as a father. That's what I mean that's what my definition would be. Of reclaiming it means just doing your responsibilities and being held yourself accountable to be a father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's good because statistically, in 2020, nearly half of Black children lived with their mother only. And fewer than 2/5 live with 2 married parents. But I don't just because the fathers were not in the household, that does not mean that they were not involved.
Right.
And so we're not going to allow the number to paint the picture or to support the stereotype that Black men are not present.
Right.
Because from our vantage point, like being with you and traveling with you in the military, we saw present fathers. Now, that doesn't mean that that's everybody's vantage point.
Right.
That's what we saw. We saw
Right.
present fathers. And I also think what's unique is that while we're blended, so coming into the marriage, Bo had 2 sons and they were 5 and 7.
Something like that.
5 and 7. And then I had a son who was 5. Well, on the day we got married, I had a son who was 5. He had a son who was 5. He had a son who was 7. And then I had girls that were 4.
4.
When we got married. And they're now
In 20s.
25, 23,
22,
and 22.
22.
And we have a 14-year-old together. What's interesting in this scenario is that
we both had baby mama drama and baby daddy drama.
Other parent drama.
Other parent drama. Let's just make it plain.
Right. And unfortunately, the father of my biological children were not present. And at the same time, my husband was fighting
in court
to stay present in the lives of his children, and eventually was awarded, maybe like a year into our marriage, before we got our 1-year anniversary, he was awarded full legal and physical custody of his children. So we raised them all together. We're blended, but we raised all of the kids together under one roof. Mm-hmm. So back to the numbers. When you hear those numbers, how do they make you feel? Like, what do you think the numbers miss? And I think we kind of pointed on that when we spoke about just because they're in a home where there's a single mother, it doesn't mean that there's an absent father.
Right. I mean, the numbers, it's a poll. And like you said, it doesn't mean that they are absent father, because sometimes we tie relationship to parentship. And that means if you're not with the woman, you're not present in your home.
Which is not true.
Mm-hmm. For in my case, I was fighting to be present. Mm-hmm. But my ex-wife at the time, she was more on, if I'm not with her, I can't be with my kids. Mm-hmm. So, or, giving me all kinds of trouble to be with my kids and visit with my kids and take them places and do certain things with my boys. So the numbers are the numbers, but it's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. For me, that's what it was. I made a choice to be with somebody I probably shouldn't have been with, had kids with them, and then I had to go through what I went through.
Right. And then, so when we think about numbers, those statistics came from the CDC and the NCHS. But that data also found that when Black fathers were living with their children, they were the most likely group to provide daily physical care, bathing, dressing, diapering, or toileting help. And I think it matters because that complicates the absent father narrative. So on one hand, you have these statistics that show that these Black children are growing up in households that are led by Black women. But then on the other hand, the statistics show that when Black fathers are in the home, they are as involved, the most involved group, the most involved demographic.
I would say the numbers is just a survey, because in hindsight, now that I've speak to my father, we connect a little bit. If he was present in his current state that he was in back then, it could have had a huge impact on me, negative impact on me. Yeah. So maybe it was good for him not to be there, because he couldn't be the father that he supposed to be in the state that he was in, and the things that he was participating probably in at that time.
Right, and we'll address that further later, but I'm glad that you did mention that he is involved now. He's involved, and he calls you all the time, and I think it's so cute, because he always, he's like, I want to cook, I want to make y'all gumbo, come on down, I want to go fishing with you. Like, he's
reclaiming fatherhood.
He's reclaiming
his
position in your life.
He's attempting to do that.
And you were open to it.
Yes.
Like, you didn't hold his absence against him.
Right.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge. What do you think people misunderstand about Black fathers?
I think sometimes people misunderstand that Black fathers it's not just about working and paying bills and being, taking care, providing for the kids. I think that's a, misconception that, yes, that's part of what most Black fathers do, is provide and work to take care of their kids and their families. But also they miss the pieces where money can't substitute me standing on the sidelines on the football field.
Or coaching.
the kids, or being in conversations and
Showing
them things and teaching them how to tie a tie and stuff like that. So, that's I think that's one of the misconceptions out there, is that he works, he pays the bills, and he's a good father. That's part of it. But if I'm working all the time and I'm paying the bills all the time and they don't see me, it becomes the ride home with mom all the time.
Yeah, you're
mom
still
all the
absent.
time.
Yeah.
I'm still absent. So
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I think that just from a historical context, in this country, like if you think of chattel slavery and race-based slavery, like Black men were not positioned to be fathers. They were positioned to be bucks, so to speak, to create all of these, to impregnate all of these different women. So a lot of what we know from fatherhood is like a disconnect. Does that make sense? Like historically, and it wasn't something that he did voluntarily because he had no agency over his own body, but you put these men in these positions to create babies with these women, and you take them out and you put them with another woman and he makes babies there, and then you take them out. And then you put him, I'm talking about slavery. Like, you know how, what?
yeah, I know.
Why are you laughing?
Because I'm trying to see where you're going with it.
No, I'm just saying that, like, historically, I don't think that the design was ever for a Black. I think it's something that we've had to learn. And it's something that we've had to model. And then it's also something that we've had to invent for ourselves, because we did not have a model of that here for a lot of us. Not that all of us were slaves, but the majority of us were. We had some type of lineage in slavery. I think the concept of a Black family is a little bit more complicated than some backgrounds, some cultural backgrounds.
I mean, and if you're looking at it from that slavery part, I like to think that the fathers who were slaves and had children and wives, I still like to think that they still acted as fathers in the confines of where they were, teaching them, hey, you can't do certain things, you can't act like this here, to protect and still yet try to provide for his family in a slavery
He wasn't providing for his family. The plantation owner was providing for everyone.
But provision isn't just food and clothing, so he provided wisdom.
I think that he was
to the sons, like, don't talk back to master. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Watch what you say. Don't walk down this street. So he's providing wisdom and instruction in that environment. In
a situation where the family is allowed to remain intact, because we also
because
they
did breaking up. They broke them up too. So, but even in the breakup, a son still, those lessons is what's more important. Like, even if you come out of a slave environment, it's no different than me teaching the boys or the girls, when you leave this house, this is what you do. If you've been taken from this home, my daddy taught me this, my mommy taught me this. So if the slave master came and broke the family up, daddy still instilled some instructions in them when they go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a good thought. And it just makes you think about how similar what they must have experienced is to the prison pipeline that we have here now, where you have men who are attempting to father from behind bars. You have men who are taken away from their families who are punished more harsh than men of other races. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have these fathers who are absent by design, attempting to raise children across the distance. So context matters, right? But context cannot become, and it should not become, an excuse, because while systems, whether it's slavery or the prison pipeline, they shape conditions, our choices still matter, right? The choices that we make that can kind of deter us, they still matter, right? Speaking of incarceration, the National Institute of Justice reports that African American children were 7.5 times more likely than white children to have an incarcerated parent. And 40% of incarcerated parents were African American fathers. And this is based on data from 2007. How do you think, because we just kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do you think incarceration has shaped what fatherhood looks like currently in our community?
Well, outside of the injustice ones, the people who are locking our fathers up for, wrong reasons and giving them long sentences and things, before you got to that point, father made a decision.
Yeah,
absolutely. See, and we're not going to skate over that piece.
Right, absolutely.
Where you made a decision in the beginning to allow an injustice to be done to you. So unless you was totally innocent and they just did it, that's outside of that. But if in fact you did something and you know you was doing wrong and you got caught and they gave you a long sentence, other than they gave a longer sentence to the other race, it doesn't matter.
Right. It doesn't take away.
It doesn't take away from the decision that you made. And that's why fathers have to be very careful, because the decisions that you make could, it trickles all the way down and it impacts everybody. So now you're trying to be a father from behind bars, which is almost impossible.
Right.
It's almost, the only thing you can do is write letters and talk when they come visit you. So, I mean, I can't really speak totally to incarceration as a father, but I can only imagine how difficult it would be to be a father in an incarcerated and trying to reclaim that. But in order to do it, it does take the other side too. The mother. Right. The mother has to play a part in ensuring that the kid knows that this is your father, But if you instill in that kid, he ain't no good. He in jail. He ain't your father. Guess what? It makes it more difficult for the father to come. And then now it goes back to that relationship versus parentship.
So just to kind of pivot a little bit, I want to speak more about your own experience and what the absence of a father meant to you growing up. And when did you realize the impact that it had on you?
I feel like for me, man, I think I realized it when I started playing either freshman or JV football. Right around like maybe junior high, when my grandpa passed away, and then my cousin. There's not too many men in my family, just me, my first cousin, then my uncle. And so they was all in the military. Right. So they left. And so it was just me with my house full of women. And my grandpa passed away. That's when I really felt it, because I'm like, I didn't have I noticed it. I won't say I felt it, but I noticed it a lot. When I go to practice, track and football, I see other parents. My mom came to games and stuff, but I seen dads at practice, not the games. And that's when I kind of felt like you don't have that covering. And coaches can say and do things, you don't have that dad say, hey, my kid is clearly, he need more game time. He working, he doing this, he doing that. You don't have it. All the kids didn't have it. And I wasn't the only kid neither that didn't have that. Yeah. But I'm just saying that's when I noticed it, when my grandpa passed away. Because up until that point, my grandpa was my father. Right. He was the one that I looked up to. So that's that,
Yeah. Okay. So I know we spoke about your grandfather and your grandfather being your male figure, and then you had your Uncle James and then Buster, but you did say that your grandfather passed away when you were 12. So who helped teach you manhood? Like, where did your...
Well, it was I call it a collaboration of many, many men, So I've learned manhood by observation and experience over time. So earlier before my grandpa passed, I would be the young teenager, 12, 13, whatever, in church with the deacons and the male choir. I'm the youngest one up there, one of the youngest up there. And that's where I just observed and looked at those men and just imagined like they good men. They come to church, their wife is at church, da. Boom, boom, boom. That's how I did it. And, as I grew, other men just came pastors and ministers and leaders in the army, having these talks and conversations, and I just gathered information. And that's how my manhood was pretty much shaped, through my grandfather, other men, and pastors and ministers throughout my life, and my own experiences as well.
And then, so what did you have to learn on your own? Like, what were some of the big lessons you felt like, man, I could have really used this?
Navigating women.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. That's one of the lessons I had to learn on my own.
Yeah.
I didn't have nobody to tell me what to look for in a woman. I just had someone tell, don't you bring no baby home.
No. Oh, don't bring a baby home.
Yeah. Don't bring no baby home,
Welcome to the Common Cultured Collective.